Developing right now, inspectors have discovered dozens of people living inside a building in Queens.
Yeah, Richard Giacobis is outside of that home in South Richmond Hill with more on this. Richard, what do we know?
Well, this is actually a furniture store, Chris and Bianca, and what building inspectors tell us was there were at least 14 bunk beds and more than a dozen other beds occupying both the cellar and first floor of that store. The building owner tells us he was housing migrants here, migrants who have now been vacated by that building department. We're going to show you some cell phone video from that furniture store owner who shows what these conditions look like in that cellar. You can see dozens of people in these beds appearing as if they're waking up. Neither the Department of Buildings nor the FDNY are saying who was living in these tight quarters. Both officials did confirm that they did fully vacate the building, both the first floor and the cellar where these people were sleeping, and an investigation is now underway. In that cellar, the FDNY says there was no ventilation. There wasn't any natural light. The Department of Buildings has slapped the landlord with 2 violations.
These immigrants were being housed in the cellar where there was no ventilation and no natural light. And I'm also certain that it was a fire trap. And the Department of Buildings slapped the landlord with 2 violations. But what about the store owner? What about him? Well, what they say, right? An investigation is underway. But I'm sure the furniture store owner was just, doing this out of kindness, out of the goodness of his heart, right? Why not? Of course.
How many people? About 74 people.
And where were they staying?
Yeah, they were staying in the store because the store it's a big space. It's a big space. So we have bunk beds, queen bunk beds, some of the twin bunk beds, just to make a space, for everybody to fit, and we can have space to pray.
See, this is the store owner right here, Mr. Ibausar. I hope I'm saying that correctly and not butchering it. He just wanted to make a space for these people. That's it. He provided them with bunk beds, twin and queen, and a space for them to pray even. In an overpacked, cramped cellar, out of kindness, I'm sure he's taken their safety and the safety of the neighborhood under careful consideration. I'm certain about that.
We also spoke with a neighbor who did not want to show her face on camera. She claims she's been calling 311 for weeks about the amount of people living here and the number of e-bikes that she's been seeing in the building's backyard.
One day morning, I come outside, I see bikes in the back. That's when I got alarmed. When I saw the e-bikes, and then all over the news, you see that these e-bikes are exploding and they lighten up the whole block. Like nobody's safety he was concerned about.
I would have to disagree with you, my dear. I'm sorry. He's providing shelter in a cramped cellar surrounded by fire hazards, e-bikes, because he cares deeply for his fellow man, okay? Let's get that right.
We spoke to the owner of this furniture store again, who told us he was housing these migrants willingly inside the building. He says he brought the people living here in to give them work.
See, there you have it. He housed them there to give them work. That's why. He wants to help them. Make them productive members of society, my dear. That's it. He obviously cares for his fellow man. I can't stress that enough. It's a humanitarian effort that he's doing. He's contributing to helping.
Now, the building's owner does tell us that these were all men living here. They were all from West Africa. Again, he was housing them willingly to give them work. How long they were here, questions we are trying to get answers from tonight. We are in the South Richmond Hill section of Queens. Richard Giacobis, Fox 5 News.
I knew it, you see? I knew it. He cares so much about his fellow man that they're all males. All 74 of them. But this is still the feel-good story of the year, okay? Do not get it mistaken. It wasn't too long ago that the mayor of the city proposed an initiative for New York residents to take migrants into their homes. Wasn't it called like the Adopt an Invader program or something to that effect? I'm forgetting. I'm not certain. I think it was like CSI for short. Create a Slave Initiative, I think. Something like that. I'm forgetting. The names that they give to these things, man, just goes right over my head, man. But I'm just glad that this man's actions were rooted in kindness, that there were no ulterior motives whatsoever. That's what's most important.
Let's get back to that breaking news we told you about. In the Bronx, another raid on another makeshift migrant shelter.
Yeah, our Anthony DeLorenzo just arrived on the scene. Anthony, what have you learned?
I spoke with the man who was charging $300 a month to the migrant men from Africa.
How many people? About 74 people.
And where were they staying?
They were staying in the store because the store it's a big space. It's a big space. So we have bunk beds, you know, queen bunk beds, some of the twin bunk beds, just to make a space, you know, for everybody to fit, and we can have space to pray.
We'll give you a look. This is the same man, by the way, who was charging the migrants in Richmond Hill, Queens, that we told you about yesterday. This is the location here on East Kingsbridge Road. You can see this is a bunch of storefronts really in the downtown area of Fordham. And inside that room where you see an officer guarding that door right there is where dozens of migrant men just left. They were evacuated within the last few hours by the FDNY. So essentially, they got a complaint initially from neighbors here that there were all e-bikes being stored right outside this location.
Another storefront? How many businesses does this man own? I mean, he started this with the intent to help these men find work, right? And, you know, he owns the furniture store in Queens and whatever this is in the Bronx. You know what I'm saying? You know, what this man is doing is gouging these migrants of whatever little they have or whatever our tax dollar provides them with. So this individual can then siphon it from them. And that's just one potential scenario. These individuals could be conspiring all around. You never know. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Kathy. Good looking out, Eric. And just how many freaking e-bikes are there, too? You know, in both scenarios, it's the e-bikes that drew all the attention in the first place. The woman who was interviewed in Queens stated she informed the city regarding her concerns about the number of e-bikes. This is crazy. It's crazy.
So when the FDNY came to check that out, that's when they made this discovery. About 45 beds inside of this makeshift shelter here. Approximately 60 men were living there. I talked to one of them briefly as he left. He said that he's been here for about 2 months. But let's give you a look here. This is just how busy this area is where they have been living. Certainly good access to transportation, to food, to different shopping areas. And the migrants said that they preferred to live here rather than the city-run shelters because the amenities, if you can believe it, are better. However, the conditions inside extremely cramped at this point. 45 beds in a very small, tight area.
60 men in a small, tight, cramped area in the Bronx. 74 in a cellar with no ventilation and no natural sunlight in Queens. And these migrants rather live there for the amenities than in the government-run shelters. I bet. They aren't paying for this. We are. This is where you see the fruits of the Uniparty's labor coming to fruition. And make no mistake about it, this is by design. If you've been following this channel, and I know that you have, you know exactly how I feel about this, all right? Democrat policies are letting these migrants into the country at an exponential rate, while the actions of the Republicans are spreading them throughout the country. So don't tell me that they aren't. This is orchestrated. Don't be fooled by the shenanigans at the theatrics that take place at the house. It's all bullshit, and you know this. Stay watching.
Giving you a look now across the street where some of those men have gathered, their suitcases all packed up, and we believe they're waiting for a city bus to come and possibly bring anyone who wants to an intake center in Manhattan. That is what happened at least yesterday when we had that raid happening in Richmond Hill.
They're waiting for their accessoride so that they can be taken to the shelter of their choice in the city. Magnificent. Elderly and disabled U.S. citizens have to pull teeth to receive those services. It's truly remarkable. Unbelievable, seriously.
Again, the man that was running this says that he was collecting $300 a month from these migrants because he wanted to give them a better opportunity here in America. A fellow immigrant himself, he says he was collecting that money, upwards of $25,000 from one location each month to possibly get them better housing in the future. I spoke with him on the phone. He plans on coming up here as well to see what's going on. And I asked him if he has any more locations as well. He wouldn't answer that, but certainly something the city is now investigating.
Oh my goodness, man. You know, I mean, every time I can't believe it. Oh, man. He's collecting the money to give them a better opportunity. Can you freaking believe this? Can you believe this nonsense? Yeah. Upwards of $25,000 a month. Okay? Well, correction. 74 in Queens, 60 in the Bronx equals 134. 134 heads at $300 a pop is a total of $40,200 a month. All right? That's why this man is doing this. Kindness and caring? Kindness and caring? An opportunity? My ass, bro. Bullshit. I call bullshit. Where's he keeping this money anyway? On one of those mattresses in the furniture store in Queens? This is fucking incredible, man. You can't make this shit up. Only here in Crazy World. Unreal. All right, guys, that's all that I got for you today. Thank you so much for joining me. If you haven't done so, don't forget, like and subscribe right here on YouTube. It really helps the channel grow. Do the same over on Rumble and TikTok. You can also follow me on social media at Shitstagram and Twitter 10X. You already know. Pretty good, pretty neat, everybody. Thank you so much. Later.